Welcome to a new video in my channel, and I guess you can tell that this is going to be a mailbag video. And I got a little bit addicted to these $1.99 deals from AliExpress. So most of it is going to be from, well, probably half of it is going to be from that, and then the other half is just going to be some random stuff that I wanted to buy. So just to recap, if you have the mobile app from AliExpress, you have this item on the top which says 3+ items from $1.99. So it's $1.99 or $2.99 or $3.99, but you have to buy 3 of them in so you can check out. And by the way, if you live in, let's say, Europe like me, so that's $1.99 or $2.99, and then the VAT comes on top of that. So I have to pay a little bit more, like, well, in Hungary it's about more than a third more than the actual price, plus a little bit of shipping as well. But still, I think, keep this in mind and just make sure that it's still a good deal. And sometimes I occasionally go into these other sections as well, but these ones are mostly from here. So let's look at what I have got. So first of all, in my previous video, I said that I bought these empty battery cases for 18650. And the one that I got last time was damaged and it wasn't working, and I got the money back. But I haven't really given up on the idea, so I purchased another one. So this was one of the $1.99 or $2.99 lots, and this is very similar. So it holds 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 18650s, and as you can see, it has a USB-C in and out, micro USB in, and then 2 USB-A outs. And this is working. Well, this is working and it's not working. First of all, it is working. It does what it's supposed to do. But the idea was that I would reuse these really bad, well, not bad, but very old 18650s that I got out from my old laptop. And the thing is, it doesn't really work that way. So I think I read somewhere that if you are using 18650s in series, or this type of LiPo batteries, not series, in parallel, they should be around the same capacity. And the very same thing I've noticed here. So I have batteries of varying capacities, like 800 to 1200. And I was really hoping that it sort of like adds up the capacity. So even though these are really bad batteries, at the end I will get, like, I don't know, maybe 5,000 milliamp hours out. But the thing is, it just doesn't work that way. So probably the electronics inside notices, I don't know what it does, because it's supposed to be looking at voltage. But I did a couple of charge and discharge cycles, and I could only get to like 800 or 700 milliamp hours. And, for this big, being full of batteries, that's pretty much useless. So even though this is a big power bank, even though this is a good power bank, I would need proper batteries for it, because, with these crappy batteries, I mean, I have the other 6 as well, it just doesn't worth it. So yeah, but otherwise I'm happy. It has the USB-C. The other thing I noticed, that it wasn't really charging, so it was charging at, like half an amp, and it was quickly dropping down to like 200 milliamps. But again, that could be down to these batteries being like really old and not picking up enough charge, or the fact that they were all over the place. So I don't have, fresh 18650s to test with. So yeah, I think it's good, but not with the batteries that I was planning to use. And the other thing, if you're planning to buy this, make sure that you install the batteries and you test them before you put the cover on. Because this cover really snaps on, like it goes around this groove and it snaps on, and it was impossible to get it open, which is a good thing. And you can see the, the scratch mark here. So I really had to go brutal with the screwdriver to get it open. And I chipped some of these tabs as well, because obviously I wanted to make sure that the batteries are not overheating. So, if you're not sure about the batteries, then test them out without the cover on, make sure that they are not getting hot on charge or discharge cycles, and only snap the case on, because otherwise it's going to be really difficult to get it out. But otherwise, it seems to be working. It has all the thingies, so it shows the charge and whether the in and out, and it also shows which output is on. And if you long press there is an LED, so you can use it as a torch. So yeah, basic functions, but I forget the specs, how much the USB-C can output. But I thought this would be just, you know, like a cheap battery bank with some spare batteries, but no, well, at least not with these batteries. So that was a, well, I would say a bit of a fail on the project side, but I think on the product side it's still okay. So the next one, if we stay on the USB-C part, I purchased these USB-C small breakout boards you can buy. So this lot gives you 5. And I don't think I can get to this close, but there are solder bridges here. So you have a solder bridges for 9, 12, 15 and 20 volts. And that basically is going to, you know, if you connect it to a PD, it will output 9, 12, 15 or 20 volts. So I think I will use this for projects, maybe in the future. So I have a USB-C power bank here, and I don't think it has a like a light or something. Oh no, there is a small LED. So it definitely works because it says, well, the power bank's turned on, and by default there is a small solder bridge at 12 volts. So there is going to be 12 volts here. So I think if you need to like power projects and you don't want to use a DC jack, but maybe you want to power from a motor power bank that can output PD, it's a great stuff. The only reservations about these is this small board doesn't have mounting holes. So if you want to use it for a project, you probably have to like hot glue it, and also the side of the PCB is going to show. And I have seen very similar products where this small chip is hidden inside the USB-C connector, like in here, sort of like this. And then at the end you have a cable with a DC jack. So I think that could be more useful, or a panel mounted version of these could be also useful. But yeah, these are nice, and again, not expensive, so I think it was still a good purchase. Next, so I can get these out of the out of the way, I got these brushes, which are these are used by guys who do car detailing. So this came in a lot. I think it's different sizes of different thickness or brush strength. And I find it really difficult to, you know, to clean the coin tray and some of these recesses in the car. So I thought I can just use the same thing what the professionals use, but I realized I probably need to figure out where I can buy those special foams that they use for cleaning, because probably soapy water is not going to be the best solution. So I'm not really sure how much I will end up using this. This was probably an impulse buy, but it was cheap. It's not a, you know, huge great quality, but I don't think it needs to be. If I don't end up using it for cleaning my car, I think probably I will end up using this to clean my garden locos as well, because you know, these are stiff brushes to get dirt off from the locos or the carriages. I think it's going to be great. So this was one of the bigger items. This was definitely cheap as well. So I think that works. Next was this set of waterproof connectors, which you can see here. It's fairly. I wanted these easy snap connectors, like 2-terminal snap connectors, and I think at the end I could have get something a little bit smaller, but you know, these look nice. So you can see the 2 terminals. You can see this rubber seal here, and there is like a rubber grommet inside as well. And it has this catch, so it snaps together. And this also have sort of like a groove. So if you want to like mount it, like how you mount a bicycle light, maybe it can be used on a panel as well. I'm not really sure, but I think it's meant to be sort of like this open, you know, sort of open-ended connectors. I can't really test the you know, the waterproof rating, and it just said waterproof. It doesn't say whether it's IP, you know, whatever. So I think it just has like probably moderate waterproofing because of these things, these rubber seals. The other thing is I don't really understand how they thought that I would use this because it comes with these tails. So obviously whatever I'm going to do here, I need to waterproof separately. So that sort of like defeats the point of a waterproof connector. So maybe you need like those separate connectors that you can, you slip on and then you heat, and then it has the solder inside plus some gel which forms a waterproof coating. But yeah, so I managed to get this one off, and there is obviously the metal connectors, but I couldn't get them on. So I don't know what sort of prying tool you would need to get the cables on, so you solder your own cables to it to make it really waterproof. But this end was probably the easier one to take out, but the other one, I had no idea how you can pry this open. So obviously it's a single plastic, the connectors are recessed inside. Again, you would probably need a special tool to open this up. So it looks good, it's it's built nice, but without the proper tool, I don't think there is a lot of point of these being waterproof, because you would need to like properly disassemble and resolder the cables in order to make it work. So I think I'm just going to use it as like generic connectors that I can easily disconnect and not worry about, well, not use the waterproof feature, and you just use heat shrink to attach my cables in, and I'm not going to disassemble this. So yeah, I think it's still fine. Probably I could have bought like cheaper, smaller ones which are not waterproof, and it will still do the same job. Next one is, I don't think I have to talk too much about this. This is a spring-loaded center punch. I didn't have a spring-loaded center punch before, and I do metal work, so I needed one, and again, it was cheap. It looks like a decent construction. It definitely does the job. So yeah, it's a spring-loaded center punch. And finally, this is a bicycle horn, and I bought this because in the spec it said a few things about that it has 4 different audio samples that it can play. And one of them was something like a bell. I think it said bell or something. It's not here, but on the listing. And I thought that maybe it has type of like tram bells, and I could use it on my 7¼ inch gauge loco. But oh yeah, and the other reason I bought this, because it also said that you can control the volume. So, well, none of them really works, because, well, first of all, I'm not going to turn it on, because then I'm going to deafen myself. So first thing is, it's a decent construction. You cut this bungee thingy, and then it hangs on your handlebar, and you can do this trigger separately, and then you put it onto your handlebar as well. So I have 3 issues with this. First of all, it has an on-off button. So, if you're on a bicycle and you forget to turn this on, well, it's useless, because when you need it, it's not going to work. The second thing, I tried to set the lowest volume, and it was still like loud as hell. So it's definitely not ideal for like a sort of like a subtle audio warning when you are pedaling around. I'm not even sure what it would be like for the full, probably the full volume would be the 100 decibel, which is advertised there. The other thing is, and probably the third thing is this trigger button. So it has a button to actually sound, and another one to cycle the audio, which again, it doesn't really make sense. If you're on the bike, you want to press the horn, you don't want to accidentally press the other button. So this button should have been here, and then this should be just a single button. And again, not use the on-off feature, because again, I think it just makes it useless. So I'm definitely disappointed about this. I would not recommend this. And yeah, and the other thing is that the audio samples are not particularly nice, like, really harsh audio samples. So there are 2 types of typical bicycle bell, and then there is like a horn, and also there is another one which is like a generic siren, like an alarm, like a house alarm. So yeah, it was cheap, it works, it's not what I expected, and it doesn't look like a well thought out product. So there is that. At least it wasn't too much. And that was all about the, the discounted unit or the cheap units. And then finally, well, I have two more. One is this power bank. So this is Baseus, and this is definitely one of the most expensive product in this review, because well, I wanted something which does USB-C, and on the USB-C it does at least 20 watts, because whenever we are hiking or we are going on a city, then I want a power bank that I can take with me and it can quickly charge my phone. So with, sort of like 20 watts is the maximum of what the phones nowadays support. Probably the phones can go higher, but this is the type of thing that can juice up the phone from, I don't know, 20 to 60% or 80% in half an hour. So in the same time, when you have a coffee and, maybe like a quick snack, this can juice up your phone. And Baseus sells these in 10,000 milliamp hours, which is this one, and you can also get it in 20,000 milliamp hours. And I bought the smaller one because obviously if we are in the city with a small backpack or something, I want this to be light as possible. And with 10,000 milliamp hours, I think if we have like two phones, which is sort of like going flat, it can put enough juice in it that, we can both survive the day. And so for that 10,000 milliamp hours is good enough. So again, for two phones for a day, and maybe for my wife has an iWatch as well, it sometimes needs charging, it's going to be good enough. And probably this is the least weight that we can carry. It's 200 grams in total. Okay, so the final product I wanted to show you, which is already installed, is this clock, which I wanted to get a new digital clock in my garage / workshop / disaster room, mostly because I had a IKEA clock here and I was fed up that I had to change the battery every like 6 months. So I wanted something which is digital, it's fairly large, and it doesn't run on battery. So you can see the wire, well, you can't, but if I zoom back in, you can see the wire going off. So it's a simple sort of like fairly long wire that they supplied with this clock, and it ends on a USB-A, but they haven't provided a USB charger, so you have to get your USB charger. But as you can see, it's a clock. It comes in, I think, in 4 different colors, which is basically the orange one, can be green and red and white and some others. I picked the orange. I think it looks good. And it shows the time. It shows the day of the week. It shows the temperature, which you can change between Celsius and Fahrenheit. And you can also change the clock between 24-hour and 12-hour mode. And then it shows that it's 8th of August, so month and day. And it also comes with this remote, so you can, for example, set the time using this remote. You can turn it off, you can change the brightness, and it also changes the brightness according to the ambient light. And it also has timers and alarm clock, and you can control all of these using this remote, which is really nice because you don't have to reach for it every time you have to do something. There are some buttons on the back side, so if you lose the remote, you can still get all of these features just by, well, walking up to it and taking it off the wall and then using the buttons. And I'm just going to walk up to it, so just to put my hand next to it, so you have an idea of the size of it. So maybe it could have been better, maybe it could have been bigger as well, but I'm still happy with the size, and it's perfectly readable from a distance, and it serves its purpose. So it's a good clock. I would definitely recommend. So that's all the mailbag for today. As usual, I'm going to leave the link in the video description. These are just generic links and not affiliated links. I'm not really sure how to set up affiliated links on AliExpress. And again, I'm going to leave like regular links to the ones that I bought on the $199 deal. and those are going to be on the full price. So if you want to buy them on the sort of this $1.99 discount, you just have to look for the app whether it shows up for you on the discounted price or not. So that's all for today. Thanks for watching, and hopefully see you in the next video.